Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Health Stream channel. If you're digging these deep dives, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on all the fascinating stuff we have coming up. All right, today we're going to be tackling vinegar
Ooh.
and its potential impact on glucose levels. Yeah, you heard that right, that humble condiment sitting in your pantry.
Right.
Might be more than meets the eye.
Absolutely.
We're going to be exploring the science behind how vinegar could help reduce those glucose spikes we all dread after meals.
Yeah.
And we're also going to look at its connection to visceral fat, that stubborn fat around our organs.
Yeah.
And we'll even touch upon its potential role in conditions like PCOS. But, you know, I got to be honest, when I first stumbled upon this topic, I was a little bit skeptical.
Oh, I hear you.
Vinegar helping with glucose control. It sounded a little too good to be true.
Yeah. It does.
But then I started digging into the research, and I was honestly surprised by what I found. There have been scientific studies done where participants added a simple vinegar drink to their routine, and the results were pretty remarkable. Some studies have actually shown a reduction in glucose spikes after meals by up to 30%.
Wow. That's significant.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal for something as readily available as vinegar, right?
Absolutely. And the science behind it is really quite fascinating.
Okay, so let's break it down. What's the magic ingredient in vinegar that's doing all this heavy lifting?
Well, the key player here is acetic acid. That's the main component of vinegar, and it seems to be the driving force behind these beneficial effects.
Okay, acetic acid, got it.
Mhm.
But how does it actually work to bring down those glucose spikes? What's the mechanism there?
So acetic acid seems to work on a couple of different levels. First, it interferes with an enzyme called alpha amylase, which is responsible for breaking down carbs into sugar. By inhibiting this enzyme, acetic acid can help slow down the digestion of carbohydrates.
So it's like putting the brakes on that carb to glucose conversion process.
Exactly, that's a great way to put it. And by slowing down that conversion, you get a less dramatic rise in blood sugar after meals.
That makes sense. But I'm curious about the other mechanisms you mentioned. How else does acetic acid help?
The second way is by signaling your muscles to absorb more glucose from the bloodstream.
Oh, interesting.
This not only helps moderate blood sugar levels, but also provides your muscles with readily available energy.
So it's like a two-pronged approach, slowing down the release of glucose on one hand
Right.
and encouraging the muscles to take it up on the other. It's like this well-coordinated dance to keep those glucose levels in check.
Exactly.
I love that. Now, we've talked a lot about glucose control, but what about those other benefits mentioned in the studies? I read about the potential impact on visceral fat, which, let's be honest, is something we all want to keep in check.
Absolutely. And there's definitely some promising research in that area. Studies have shown that regular vinegar consumption can actually lead to a decrease in visceral fat.
Really?
Yeah. And while more research is definitely needed to fully understand this connection,
Of course.
it's certainly an exciting finding.
It is. And what about triglycerides? Weren't those also mentioned as a potential area of improvement?
That's right. Some studies have shown that vinegar may also lead to improvements in triglyceride levels. And since high triglyceride levels are associated with heart disease, this is definitely a positive sign.
Okay, so we're seeing potential benefits for glucose control,
Hmm.
heart health, and even weight management. But let's get practical here. How do we actually translate this into actionable advice? Are we supposed to start chugging vinegar straight from the bottle? I don't think so.
Definitely not.
So what's the best way to incorporate vinegar into our daily routines?
Well, a simple and effective way is to add a tablespoon of vinegar to a large glass of water and drink it 10-20 minutes before a meal that contains carbohydrates.
That sounds easy enough, but let's be honest. Drinking straight vinegar,
Yeah,
not the most appealing thought. Any tips for making it a little more palatable?
absolutely. You can experiment with different types of vinegar. Apple cider vinegar is popular. White wine vinegar has a milder flavor. Find one you enjoy. And you can also get creative and add it to salad dressings, marinades, even soups.
Oh, yeah.
There are tons of ways to sneak it into your diet without feeling like you're downing a sour concoction.
Right. It's all about finding ways to make it enjoyable.
Exactly.
Shouldn't feel like a chore. Now, what about those who just can't stand vinegar? Are there any alternatives? Like, could we swap it out for lemon juice?
Lemon juice does contain citric acid,
Okay.
but it's not quite as potent as the acetic acid found in vinegar.
Ah, I see.
So if you were to go the lemon juice route, you would need the juice of about 3 lemons to achieve a comparable effect to 1 tablespoon of vinegar.
So, while lemon juice might have some benefits, vinegar seems to be the real MVP here.
I'd say so, yeah.
But before we get too carried away, It's important to remember that vinegar is not a magic bullet.
Absolutely.
It's not going to single-handedly solve all our health problems. It's just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
We still need to focus on a holistic approach to health. A balanced diet, regular physical activity, all that good stuff.
You said it. Vinegar might enhance our efforts, but it can't replace a healthy lifestyle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not a free pass to eat whatever we want and then just chug some vinegar to undo the damage.
Exactly.
Now, I know many of our listeners are probably curious about vinegar supplements. They see these pills and gummies everywhere and are wondering if they're a worthwhile shortcut. So are they. We'll dive into that question and much more when we return for part 2 of our vinegar deep dive.
Can't wait. Welcome back to our vinegar deep dive.
Now, I know a lot of you out there are probably wondering about those vinegar supplements.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the pills, the gummies, you see them everywhere.
Right.
And they seem like a pretty convenient way to get your vinegar fix. So are they a worthwhile shortcut?
Well, it's tempting to think so, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just pop a pill and you're good to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling there's more to the story than that.
You're absolutely right to be cautious. The supplement world can be a bit of a wild west, and vinegar supplements are no exception.
So what should we be looking out for?
Well, one thing to be wary of is added ingredients
Okay.
that could actually counteract the very benefits you're seeking.
Like, what? Give us the inside scoop.
Sugar is a big one.
Oh, wow.
Ironically, some vinegar gummies are loaded with sugar,
Really?
which completely defeats the purpose
Yeah,
if you're trying to manage your glucose levels.
that's mind-boggling. So what's the best approach then? Should we avoid supplements altogether?
My general advice would be to prioritize whole food sources whenever possible.
Okay.
A tablespoon of vinegar in water is a much more natural and reliable way to get those benefits.
That makes a lot of sense. But for those who absolutely can't stand the taste or are looking for convenience, what should they keep in mind when choosing a supplement?
Do your research.
Okay.
Look for reputable brands that have third-party testing to verify the quality and purity of their products.
And always read the label.
And always read the labels carefully, paying close attention to the ingredients list.
So whole food sources first, and if you go the supplement route, choose wisely.
Exactly.
Now, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about the bigger picture.
Okay.
We've been focusing on the specific benefits of vinegar, but how does vinegar fit into a holistic approach to health?
That's a crucial point. While vinegar can be a helpful tool, it's not a magic bullet for all our health woes.
Right, we can't just expect to eat whatever we want and then chug some vinegar to undo the damage.
Exactly. It's all about creating a healthy foundation through a balanced diet, regular exercise, stress management, and adequate sleep.
So it's like having a well-maintained car. You take good care of it, get regular tune-ups, and then maybe add a performance enhancer to give it an extra edge. Vinegar's that enhancer, not the whole maintenance plan.
I like that analogy. It perfectly captures the idea that vinegar might enhance our efforts, but it can't replace a healthy lifestyle.
It's fascinating to think that something as simple and readily available as vinegar could have such a positive impact.
It really is. And it makes you wonder what other hidden gems are lurking in our kitchens just waiting to be discovered.
That's a great segue into the historical use of vinegar.
Yeah.
It seems like it's been used for centuries, for various purposes, not just culinary ones.
Absolutely. Vinegar has a rich and fascinating history dating back thousands of years. It's been used for everything from preserving food and cleaning wounds to treating infections and even as a beauty aid.
It's amazing to think about how something so commonplace has played such a significant role throughout history.
It really is. And it makes you wonder, what other potential health benefits might we uncover with further research? What other secrets does vinegar hold?
That's a great question to ponder. And now we're going to shift our focus to addressing some common questions and misconceptions about vinegar. Stay tuned for part 3 of our deep dive. And we're back for the final part of our vinegar deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, but there are still a few lingering questions I want to address.
Okay.
One that often comes up is vinegar's potential impact on digestion. Is it safe for everyone? Could it aggravate existing stomach issues? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a really important consideration. It's crucial to remember that everyone's body is different. And while vinegar is generally safe for most people to consume in moderation, there are a few things to keep in mind. For instance, if you have a history of GERD or heartburn, vinegar's acidic nature could potentially trigger or worsen symptoms.
Oh, that makes sense.
The same goes for those with gastritis or ulcers. It's always best to listen to your body, and if you have any concerns, definitely consult with your doctor.
So individualized care, professional guidance, always key. Now, let's debunk a common myth I've heard circulating online.
Okay.
Some people believe that vinegar can somehow melt away fat, like magically. Is there any truth to that claim?
I wish it were that simple.
Right.
While some studies do suggest that vinegar might contribute to modest reductions in visceral fat, it's definitely not a magical fat-melting potion.
Right. There's no such thing as spot-reducing fat with any single food or drink.
Ex-
It's about creating an overall calorie deficit through a combination of diet and exercise.
Precisely. Vinegar might play a supporting role in weight management, but it can't replace a healthy lifestyle.
It's not going to magically erase those extra pounds.
No magic bullet.
Now, another question that pops up a lot is about timing. Is there a best time to take vinegar? Is it strictly before meals, or are there other times that might be beneficial?
Most of the research focuses on consuming vinegar before meals, particularly those containing carbohydrates. This timing seems to be the most effective for harnessing those glucose-lowering effects.
So timing does matter.
It seems to.
Now, before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about the potential for future research to uncover even more benefits of vinegar.
Oh, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, considering its long and fascinating history and all this emerging research, it's really exciting to think about what other hidden gems vinegar might hold. Perhaps it plays a role in other areas of health and well-being that we haven't even considered yet.
It's a great reminder that the world of health and wellness is constantly evolving, and there's always more to learn.
Absolutely.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the science behind vinegar's glucose-lowering effects to practical tips and addressing common concerns. I hope our listeners feel a bit more informed and maybe even a little bit inspired to give vinegar a try.
I hope so, too. It's been a pleasure diving into this topic.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And remember, folks, if you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to subscribe to the Health Stream channel for more fascinating health and wellness insights. Until next time, stay curious and take care.